So I just get booted off of YouTube there for violating something. Don't know what I violated though. Unless somebody's complained because you could see the wee man in the background and can scud in his paddling pool. What the fuck's the matter with these clowns? I'm getting people messaging me. It booted me off. It booted me off of YouTube there, saying that there was a complaint made that I've violated some copyright thing. I've not played anything. How can I violate any fucking copyright if I'm sitting in my own back door? What the fuck's going on? So anyway, we'll do that again, shall we? We'll discuss what we were discussing. So, I was talking about true scale modelling and the difference between a scale model. I know it's me my policy. Why? Because I've got the tit suit? Maybe there's a flash of the wee man in his pool or something, I don't know. Desperate cunts. Exactly. Desperate, selling Ellie. So we'll get back to discussing what I was talking about. So we were talking before the other video got banned for whatever fucking idiotic reason. The difference between scale modelling and true scale modelling. A scale model doesn't have to, accurately represent every factor of what it is you're modelling. But in true scale modelling, it must represent every aspect. Okay? Hang on. So, Harley, can you go out the pool just now? Because I'm doing a wee video. And nobody wants to see your bare bum. Tanya, hello. Rickus, how you doing, bud? Right, so I'll try and cover what I was covering before. I thought I covered it alright there, but now I probably fucking forget. So, true scale modelling. So the example I was using was this. And we were talking about scale and some other various aspects of this. So, I could, based on, the natural phenomena in reality, we make the observation of how water behaves. Then we can construct things that work practically, demonstrably, based on the understanding of the substance in the actual natural world. So you can observe the phenomena of water and its behaviour. You can watch how it behaves on declines, slopes, how it fills any void and takes the shape of any area or void, and it will fill that void up, and if it can be contained and it overflows it's going to flow and continue to flow. But if you can contain this, you're going to get a perfect, you're going to fill that void perfectly, the shape of the container, and you're going to get a perfectly horizontal leveled surface. Okay, what you can say is that the water finds the lowest potential energetic state, which I understand is this. It has a free surface, no shape to it, but what happens when we pour it in, an area like this and we get a standing body of water is that you see that it forms a perfectly horizontal surface, unless, as I said before, you act upon it by some external force creating motion. You like that, I just created a disturbance creating waves. We also have pressure variance by temperature variance, so expansion and contraction, which we see in the natural world. Obviously we've got a source up there of heat, so you've got that moving across vast bodies of water, which is causing an expansion, and as it moves away and it cools, you've got a contraction happening. So the other aspect I was talking about this and questions that people need to ask is density layers, what we call the buoyant or upward force, and how that comes about. And as I've said before, I've demonstrated that to you through motion. So if I postulate that the earth was moving uniformly towards our feet, then what happens is we get a compression. Everything compresses as it comes into contact with the earth moving up, and through that compression we get density layering. Okay, so as you can see in this case, you get the water which is more dense, which causes the air on the outside ring to be forced upwards. And again, I can demonstrate that. You can demonstrate it by using a helium balloon. Get yourself a bottle of water with an air bubble in it, hang various plumb lines in the inside of a vehicle and move that vehicle. Okay, so start to propel the vehicle forwards. And what you'll notice if the vehicle is going in this direction, what happens is that the helium balloon leans towards the direction of motion, because what happens is there's a compression towards the back, causing a more dense region, which forces the helium balloon in the opposite. So you could call that the upward buoyant force, right? Which is just a reaction to the reference frame that's actually in motion. It does not define the Earth's shape. Okay, when we're talking about things like gravity, and as I need to restate for people over and over again, gravity just means falling. Simply put, how an object falls, the way in which objects fall, a total separate issue from a station what the shape of the Earth is. But again, understanding a heliocentric model, they had to invoke some magical mystery stuff, because trying to get people to accept that you can have, be on a globular Earth, with, opposed to you, people standing upside down, bodies of water bending and curving round the outside of the object and maintaining that on the surface, are absolutely preposterous notions. So when they produced the image, they had to come up with all sorts of religion that we know as the heliocentric model, right? So back to the ST, exploring the full Earth, I could make an absolutely accurate representation using every substance that is within the natural world, because that's what true scale modelling requires. Okay, you cannot true scale model a globular Earth. I need to be careful, because obviously they're sitting waiting for a flash or whatever so they can fucking flag the video. So the globular Earth, no true scale model can be offered. Right? This is why you see it represented in cartoons on your TV, plastic, wood, whatever. Right? Because it is just a concept. It's not a three-dimensional object. It's not a natural thing. If it was a natural thing, you'd be able to create a true scale model. So, I forget what else I was saying before I get flagged. I probably missed some bits and bobs. Where's the chat going? Right, here we go. As I say to people, I don't know why it got flagged. I don't know if there was a flash of the wee man that I never noticed. Aye, probably beyond belief, desperation, So, I mean, me and Marty done this a long time ago, made some small models and whatever else, but remember when we had Globe-Tardians who used to do this? Look, this is a Globe-Tardians proof, right? If you get the ball wet, right, look at that, right, we'll get the ball wet. Well, actually, there's a thin film of water round the ball, and if you scaled that, then that would represent the depths of the oceans, that rubbish. So is this their scale, true scale model then? Huh? True scale model is a basketball sitting on top of the level surface, right? Where we know fine well. Right. If I dunk the water on that ball under, I'm going to get a silhouette on top of the water. No. Just finds its lowest potential energy state again and goes back to a level horizontal surface. So when I was saying about the gravity, they'll say, but it's got to react to forces acting upon it. But gravity's not a force. Gravity's a concept, right? And again, what is it that this gravity is going to do to change the physicality of the substance? Scale, you need to make it bigger. But making it bigger is not going to change the properties of the substance, the physical behaviour and characteristics of the substance, is it? Huh? Why are you constantly trying to use mathematical concepts to, get rid of reality? I find that highly suspicious. Right? Stated so clearly, I deal with physical reality. I deal with physical demonstrations. I don't deal with man-made concepts, language, word salads, wishful thinking, fanciful cartoons on TV screen. No. Demonstrable reality. Demonstrate to me. So again, the challenge is there for globe proponents who think that the world they live in is a fucking mathematical absurdity. If it was real, bring me a true scale model of your globular Earth. Not a scale model like a plastic one, a true scale model that represents and depicts reality as it actually is, using all the substances. Right? Never mind your visible proofsies. Look, I'm sitting in my chair right now, right? Now, you can see the window height of that house across there. It looks as if it's at my eye level, when in reality it's no, it's above my height. So does that mean that the ground between me and it is curved? No, it bloody well doesn't. Right? That fence has gone down. That fence is going down, it means it's curved. It's curved fence. As usual, we'll not get any takers on the true scale model. What you'll get is an excuse. You know, well, they profess that it's scientifical and logical and reasonable and all that stuff, and it's an abundance of proofsies for the globular Earth. Right? All you're going to get is excuses. Pseudoscience. Okay? Pseudoscience is claims that are made that cannot be represented, demonstrated. Show you that standing bodies up and bend and that the Earth's curving and all this stuff. And then you ask them for practical references and demonstrations, they're going to say to you, oh, the Earth gets in the way, I need a planetoid, right? Which means that you would have to be leaving Earth to some fantasy reference frame with these people and their planetoids so that they can pour water on it to show you how water can bend around the exterior of a potato rock in the vacuum of space. Right, that's pseudoscience. Just the same as any other claim that's made to you that's no demonstrable. Pseudoscience. We'll talk about people like us that we partake in pseudoscience when it's quite the opposite. I'm committed to objective reality. I'm committed to the physicality of my reality, the substances within my reality, the interactions between these substances, their behaviours alone and in regards to other substances. These are the physical sciences, chemistry, biology and physics. The globular Earth is not physics, theoretical physics, astrophysics, which translated just means making stuff up. You know, declaring axioms plucked out of fucking thin air or from the hairy arsehole of your fellow fucking gimp, right? And then put up there and asserted that it's some sort of fucking natural phenomena when it's quite clearly no. You can't understand natural phenomena when you can only see it. You only get a proper understanding of natural phenomena when you can move around it in 3 dimensions. Okay? When you have access to it in 3 dimensions. So I'm trying to remember what I missed from the first upload here that I done before they flagged me for nothing. Does anybody remember? Does anybody remember if I missed anything? He's enjoying the sun. I'm enjoying the sun. Can't get enough of it. And chocolate. Look. Pure chocolate. In that pool, Daniel Reid, I could do at least 2. That was a really good swimmer. Yes, chocolate beyond belief. Could eat myself. It has been terrible weather, but the last week's been absolutely brilliant, Baron Bronskiewicz. Late summer for us. No complaining from me. I'm first thing, sunning it up. getting myself tanned. Great. Nice one, Andrew. So I've seen Andrew Execrate 200s put a video up requesting that Globe Believers tell him what he should be expected to see over distances of up to 230 kilometres at a point visible from those distances and what they should expect to see. So if there's any Globers paying attention, go to Execrate 200s and look be caught. Reality, I have nothing but sympathy for you. Don't you start, Marty. Exactly, my Goomba. You're my moaning point. I know I can moan at you about the weather because you're just the same. So anyway, again, just remember the difference between a scale model and a true scale model. Ah, sorry about that, Santosh. I feel for you, mate. See, if I just get a couple of weeks at least, then I can be happy with that. Oh, you've got shots on now. You see the colour of him. Hey! Is it cold? Yeah. Freezing? Ah! You good fun? You good fun? He's darker than me. Got a difference to their life as well. Just getting outside. Cultural appropriation. It is, Pied Piper. I love seeing them outside. You just don't get enough of it here. So I mean, obviously I wish people would ask these questions. You know, and one of the things that, you know, a lot of people continually going about is the, you know, the Earth stationary. So we get this all the time, right? Earth stationary, and it's a circle, and it's got an ice wall. Look, there's my model, there's my ice wall. That's 10,000 metres high. That's my ice wall. Right, this is a straw man fucking flat Earth buffoonery, right? And it's stationary. Stationary, it's a stationary circle Earth with ice around it. How do you know it's stationary? Huh? How did anybody come to that conclusion? How did anybody come to the conclusion that they are stationary? I'd love to know that. I'll be clipping it. Aye, fucking right. Where's my tea? Aye. No. So these are the mantras that are always going about stationary, circular earth stuffs. Who decided that? Because as I said, there's questions to be asked. Why do we have density layers? Why do we have direction? What gives us weight? What creates the upward buoyant force? Huh? And somebody was asking me when I was pointing this out on Theoria Papadopoulos, Ken Wheeler, whatever his, you know, channel name is, Theoria Apophasis. And he was basically saying the same. He uses different questioned by some guy talking about, you know, I would have to assert that there was a universal, you know, reference of up and down, and that's not what I'm saying. you know, people talk about these things, you know, it's always, you know, mental thoughts. We're within the reference frame of Earth, so we need to deal with what we're dealing with here, right? But if we're within that reference frame, but again, if you're someone that's outside of our reference frame of Earth, we could be going laterally across their view, right? So to their relative position, well, no, that's no up and down. But to us within the reference frame, whatever the direction of motion dictates our up and down, because the down is always opposed to the direction of motion, the point of contact, right? So, you know, theoretically, we could be moving through an infinite void uniformly, and if you were an observer with our reference frame, you could see us going in any direction depending on your orientation. So that, you know, people have to remember what some imagination place reference frame out with Earth, right? But I get the thought experiments and what they're talking about, but it doesn't negate the fact of what we're trying to address and the questions that we're posing about our reality, right? We have direction, we have weight because there's a resistance between you and the Earth, okay? And if you jump out a window, you're going to come down to the Earth with quite a fucking thud, and you're going to hurt yourself. Right, so nobody can deny any of these things, so you have to ask the questions about what would be the cause of these things, right? And continually stating, you know, mantras that you heard about stationary isn't going to help the investigation, it's not going to help you, right? Don't listen to propaganda. You can't just try to say that. Do you ever think that was a double bluff on you? Huh? That you could just invert every, you know, part of the globe that they say about gravity pulling towards the Earth and invert it and say it's the Earth moving towards you, right? And other people are now, because that counters their bullshit, they've created propaganda surrounding it, and people of Earth models telling you that it's propaganda. Oh, you can't say that the Earth's moving uniformly, that's bullshit and all that. Oh, what a joke, right? But again, you've came from a belief system of a globular Earth spinning. Now, to counteract that spin, the centrifugal effect, you've got a magical non-entity called gravity at the centre, arbitrary some point at the centre of this mass. It's magically sucking and pulling stuff towards its central point. Not only that, you've got the Earth gyrating as it goes round the sun at 65,000 miles an hour, while the sun's going at 500,000 miles an hour, and the whole fucking galaxy's going at fucking whatever millions of miles an hour. So you've got like 4 different motions all happening at once, and you think that that's all held together by some magical mathematical glue, right? It's totally and utterly preposterous. Rotational movement creates a centrifugal effect. You would experience that, right? Run velocity 1,000 miles an hour, you would experience that. Never mind a one rotation in a day. You're still moving at 1,000 miles an hour. So you're coming from a belief system of that, right? So let's make it even more ridiculous. As you move away from the equator inwards, as you go north or south, you're moving inwards, right? The rotation speed gets less. So by that, you would get heavier. So you're coming from a belief system of all this gyrating, wobbling, tilting, spinning, chasing suns, round galaxies, all different fucking motions all at once, which does not correlate to Newton's laws of motion or any of these practical references in actual reality. You're coming from that belief system, and then somebody mentions to you or postulates that uniform, straight line motion, or slightly curved, whatever. If you were out with the reference frame, it could be going a slightly curved, elliptical movement, but to us within the reference frame, the flow's moving directly towards your feet. So that's uniformity. You think that's absurd because propaganda agents told you that it was absurd and ridiculous and that you were to laugh at it, right? But yet you've still got people looking at you with a straight face trying to tell you that you're spinning, gyrating, wobbling, tilting, chasing suns, round galaxies, different motions all at the same time. I think it's pretty obvious what one's absolutely ridiculous. Again, straight line uniform motion, I can demonstrate it to you in the example of a vehicle and, you know, direction of motion and the helium balloon going towards the direction of motion because of the compression of air, right? Or you can tilt that, put it perpendicular to that lateral motion so that it's now gone vertically, and you get the very same thing. So you have this of a practical nature to show you what I'm talking about with these things. It's pointless to just continually saying, "Hey, if flat Earth's a shite," that's not a discussion. As I say, I don't have any horse in the race. I don't want or need the Earth to be moving in any particular direction. The investigation brings you to these points. Okay? Stasia is what you experience from all I can observe and the limited knowledge I have. Therefore, I use it as my base assumption. Doesn't mean that it's written in stone. It's just what I experience. So that's a fair enough point. But again, it doesn't negate factors. You know, you would understand that if you were in a lift. And the lift accelerates and you feel that initial acceleration, but once it reaches a uniform speed, and if it was on, a frictionless, movement, something like a monorail or whatever, then you would probably experience very little of that motion, and you would assert in that situation that it was stationary. Right? But the fact of the matter is we have density layers, we have direction, and we have weight. The only reason that weight is because the earth beneath my feet resists me. Now, what's happening? Am I being pushed from the top towards the earth so that I'm being compressed on the earth? And the rate of that compression dictates my weight. Or the earth moves towards my feet at a set speed, and that set speed dictates my steady weight. See, questions. You can ask questions without making assertions to what's going on. You can start looking at reality and deduce through a practical playing possibilities. You can compare that practical play to the claims that are made by other men, and then see if these claims can come into the realms of your practical play. Because if a man's claiming something to you about reality and you cannot then put that into there's an issue there. Something's not right. There's also that I thought as well. What if everything's... You talk about the state, right? What if as... Who knows? But, as again, that's where I agree with Ken Wheeler. When he talks about light, there's no something that moves from point A to point B. It's not like extending a physical rod from point A to point B. That's not how it functions. That's not what it is. So when we talk about speed of light as if it's some sort of physicality, some physical thing that's moving from one point to another point, ridiculous. Of course, Daniel Pratt, I agree with that. It spill off the sides. Oh, what happened there? Did I get again? What's going on? Hang on. No. I wonder if Emma's making me one. No, probably not. Saying it's too warm, you're probably sitting up there with 14 layers on. Did you take 2 or 3 of the layers off, Marty? Take 2 or 3 layers off. You're getting buffering. Did anybody else get randomly woke up at 4 o'clock in the other morning? And I went out the back and had a look, and the moon was high, well, not high, but it was bright in the sky. And I'm not sure, but it looked to me like that was... I took a video of what people would say, I think, is Mars and Venus. The Mars just on my phone was pretty interesting because it looks very similar to what I see when people use the P900s and zoom in on stars. Now this phone's no great. I managed to get the same effect of what you see through these P900 zooming in on star type scenarios. Like, it's another massive problem there for the globes, I know. Sorry I'm missing the chat box here, I'll try and keep up what's going on. We've been talking about thunder and lightning for the last week here, but it's just not materialised. It's never came to anything. So she was talking to me there. She says, "You're bad." Hello, Tracy. Yeah, that's it, John Samuel. That's the way you think about it. You know, you don't emit sound from your mouth. You cause a disturbance in the air, and that's what scientists will call waves and this, that, and the other. But it's, you know, waves are no something that you can go, right, give me a bit of wave and measure it and put some in a jar, and we'll have a look at the wave later. And it's the same in water. Light can be created by sound. That's it, Marty. I say, I remember reading the Satanic Bible and the Bible, and I remember reading, I think it was the Old Testament, starting beginning, and, you know, and it said that in the beginning was the Word. Now, in my mind, I translated that as, you know, sound, you know, vibration, frequency, whatever, something that condenses matter. You know, you can see it in cymatics where you can change, you know, forms just using sound. So I started to kind of play with that notion that that's what it was talking about in the beginning was the word, just meaning sound. But again, when we use these, me and Marty say this all the time, we talk about frequency, vibrate, what are we actually talking about? They're just words. You know, and we have a general kind of image that we relate to when we say these words. You know, but what do they actually mean? What do they, you know, what do they ascribe to? What is the physicality that we're talking about? Now that's it, Daniel. Keep asking them these fucking questions because it just highlights the total absurdity, mate. You know, and it's good. This is the thing. The best way to deal with the globe is to continually ask questions of it. Right? As soon as you start asserting that the Earth's flat and stationary with ice walls and you know what the sun and the moon and all this stuff is, you're just setting yourself up for a debate and an argument. The best method is to continually ask questions of every aspect of the globular model. Look at the sky and you can see that there's clouds above the ones beneath and they're all going a different direction. Right, I've got nothing else to say. You know, just a demonstration, again, of a physical substance and asking the questions. True scale modelling, we know fine well, and I'll ask it in case that's possible, and some global believer thinks it's possible. Can you bring me a true scale model representing the globular Earth? Right? If I had access, what I can do is I could build a true scale model of an approximation of what the Earth is. I could place the Mercator map within that area, right? And then I would have a true scale representation. Okay. Again, talking about the Mercator map, for all you know, the Mercator map is the actual layout, right? And what they've actually done is they've circled the square. So you hear this talk of trying to square the circle, right? And what they've actually done is they've just circled the square, and from that circle you can now project a three-dimensional ball. You could inflate it, right, and space things around your 3D conceptual globular Earth. So postulate that we start from some sort of square base, and then they've encompassed it by a circle within it, or, you know, inscribed a circle within it, and then there you've got your geometry, your starting point for creating the globular model. Anyway, we know how the water behaves. We've got questions. Density layers, weight, direction, buoyant upward force. What causes that? Density, just saying the density of things, you would have to be postulating there's a unit up and down that's dictated by some metaphysical unknown entity or whatever, right? That's no purpose. For all you know, you're in a big fucking rocket ship and we have a destination. For all you know. Anyhow, I'm not diving into that pool, Marty. My nipples will get hard and you might get excited. zoomed right in. Anyway, people, have a nice day. If it's sunny where you are, get outside, stop sitting on YouTubes, go and speak to somebody. Well, in fact, what else to talk about? Oh, no, I'll leave that to the weekend. Fuck it. Right, see you later, people. Take it easy. Cheers.